we're measuring around this note here, and remembering the fault line shifts this whole bit up, and this is where in my practice I'm less adept at, because I learned, as I think most people have, unless you've been working like with a band, or unless you've been doing this since you're a child and you had the worksheet upside down, right? So you're working on the top string was on the top of the sheet, and you read top to bottom, left to right, so you started working on this string a lot, right? But I think most people are going to learn open positions, then they're going to learn those top two strings and learn how to make bar chords off the top two strings, which means they're not as good at making chords from a root note that's on the bottom in part as well, because if they go above that root note, you have to look for the inverse distance to find the intervals, which is a little bit tricky. So it's really useful to try to visualize things starting from these bottom of the guitar, and it's right next to the fault line, which is what we want to get an idea of, because the fault line throws everything up out of whack. That means that this tectonic plate shifted to the right. All right. So we're on the three note away. So the Phrygian intervals, if we look at the intervals, are going to be a 0 note away perfect first, a 1 note away minor second. That's the interval that's different from the Phrygian to the main minor, which is the Aeolian. So if I knew this shape, because I know this shape as the major shape and all of the minor, modes related to it, then I can take any of those modes and simply shift one interval to get to the related major or minor mode. In this case, I'm looking at a minor mode, the Phrygian mode. I can easily convert this shape by basically taking that one interval and making it into the minor interval, which would be a 2 note away, which would be a major second. So I can take this whole shape and just say, well, every time I find that G, right? Every time I find this F, I'm going to take this F and put it out here, and then I'll come up with a new shape. So that's one way that you can kind of basically start to build or see how the shapes are related as you go from a Phrygian shape to the minor shape, right? An F, in this case, an E Phrygian to an E minor shape, right? Anyway, so that's going to be the idea. So we have the 3 note away minor third. That's what we would expect in a minor mode, as the Phrygian is. It's the same on the minor scale. The major mode, or Ionian mode, has a 4 note away major third. The perfect fourth and the perfect fifth are what we would expect. They are still perfect. That makes sense on both the major and the minor. The sixth is an 8 note away minor sixth, which is what we would expect from a minor mode, same as the Aeolian or minor scale. It would be a 9 note away major sixth for a major mode, typically. And we have a 10 note away minor 7, which is what we would expect. That's the same as the minor scale, minor mode, Aeolian mode. A major mode would have an 11 note away major 7. So basically, the Phrygian is more minor than the main minor or minor scale. It does exactly what you would expect, the opposite of the major, meaning it takes all the intervals from the major and flattens everything except the perfects. And it even flattens the second, which not even the main minor does. That's the interval that's different, main minor being the minor scale. All right. So now we're on, so this 3 represents the third position in the scale. And then if I look at it from a chord construction, 1, 3, 5, it's going to be the same up top. Remembering the third gives the flavor of the triad chord. So it's one of the most important, basically, modes that we want to basically understand. Also, if you're going from a minor mode if you're going from a major blues to a minor blues, for example, the third is something that you might smear a little bit between the two of them. But as you're in a minor mode, it's a little bit harder to kind of go from the minor third to the major third, but you can kind of play with that. All right, so given that, we're looking for a 3 note away minor third. So if I'm on this E, 3 notes away would be right there on the same string. So I'm go 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. So there we have it, the E to the G, 3 note away minor third. What if I go above the string? Now, if I go above the string, because I'm on the fault line, right on this tectonic plate, I'm on the bottom continent, I go up to the top continent, I'm going to be crossing the fault line. So I'm going to say, all right, let's go back here. That's going to be the shorter distance. So when I cross the fault line, I usually think about crossing the fault line going from top to bottom. Most people think of the guitar that way, and we get to the idea, well, this tectonic plate shifted up this way, so I have to go diagonally. But that means that if I go from bottom to top, I get confused sometimes. Do I go like this? No, we go like this, right, to get that 5-note distance. So the 5-note distance would be like this. Now, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a 3-note away minor third. That means if I go above it, I have to find the inverse distance, which is 12 minus 3, or a distance of 9. So I'm going to go, this is going to be -5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's how I can basically count it up. 9 notes away would be a 9-note away, which would be a major 6. So the inverse of a minor is always a major. The inverse of a major is a minor. So I'm going to go, all right, I'm looking for a 9-note away distance. This is going to be going out here is going to be -5, 6, 7, 8, 9, open. So we're going to go, if I went from top to bottom, open G to E, that would be then a 9-note away major 6. Bottom to top, therefore, would be a 3-note away minor third. So if we go up one string and cross the fault line, then the 3-note away minor third is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back. But this is the only time I would cross the fault line if I went up one string, because if I was down here, then I wouldn't have to cross the fault line, because the fault line's between the G and the B string. If I was up here somewhere, I wouldn't cross the fault line. So the general rule is, if I go up one string, the 3-note away minor third is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Unless I cross the fault line, in which case if I go up one string and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor third is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back. Now, this is the minor third, so if I was looking at this G just to note and say, well, where would the major third be? It's going to be 1 fret forward. The minor, when we look at anything that's a minor, you can also call it a flattened. It's been flattened, meaning we pushed it backwards towards the back of the guitar. So so we're going to say, all right, that's that. Let's go up to the next one. Otra vez. Another one. Next one. Another time. Here we go, yo. We're going to go up 2 this time. So now we're going to be up here. So now we're going to say, all right, if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, we're looking for a 3-note away minor third. Therefore, we look for the inverse distance. 12 minus 3 is going to be 9. So we're looking for a 9-note away distance. I have to cross the fault line. So I cross the fault line by going back this way, -5, and then it would be up one more to 10, and then -10, 9. So it's going to be, let's do it over here. If I was on the guitar, it's going to be -5, -10, and then 9. So we have this shape. If I went from top to bottom, whoops, would be a 9-note away, which would be a major 6 if I went from bottom to top. From the E to the G, the inverse distance, therefore, is a 3-note away minor third. 3-note away minor third. So, and where's going to be the major third? Well, this minor third's been flattened, so the major would be here. So you can kind of play with like smearing it back or something. Right. But you usually don't do that in the minor mode. You usually be going, if it was in a major, right, you're going from the minor to the major, doing that kind of more of a like a bluesy thing on a major blues. But all right, so then that's good. That means if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor third is on the same string. But what if I didn't cross the fault line? I wouldn't cross the fault line if I went up 2 strings if I was on either the G or the D string. So if I was here, for example, then it would look like this. So the general rule is going to be, if I go up 2 strings, the 3-note away minor third will be 1 fret forward, unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the bottom two strings, the B and the high and the high pitched E string. In which case, if I go up two strings and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor third will be on the same fret. Okay, let's go up to the next one. Next one, boom, shock a laka. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we're gonna go up 3 strings and cross the fault line. So we're looking for a 3-note away minor third. Therefore, we have to look for the inverse distance, which is going to be 12 minus 3, or a distance of 9. So if I go from here to here, this is going to be -5, -10, -15. 15 minus 12 is -3. -3, 2, 1, 0. There's the octave. So 0, it's either 0 or 12. 12, 11, 10, 9. Whew. All right, it's a long count. Now, you might, well, let's just do it here. So we're going to say this is going to be -5, -10, -15. 15 minus 12 is -3, and then it's going to be 3, 2, 1, 0. There's the octave, or 12. So 12, 11, 10, 9. So it's G. Now it's going to be quite a reach. It's still doable. 5 frets is about the maximum distance that your hand can typically reach. So from this G to that E is going to be, from top to bottom, would be a 9-note away, which would be a major 6. So the inverse, if I went from the bottom to the top, would be a 3-note away minor third. Therefore, if I go up 3 strings and cross the fault line, the 3-note away minor thirds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets up. But and I would cross the fault line almost all the time, but I would not cross the fault line if I was on the G string, right? Because I can only go up 3 strings if I was on these bottom 3 strings. 2 out of 3 times I would have to cross the fault line, unless I think about going around the top of the guitar, which we could if we take into account the double lean of the E string, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Let's say we go from here and we went up 3 strings. This G string, let's take it from here to this G over here, and then I got to bring it to the right. So if I went up here and went up 3 strings, well, 1, 2, 3, then it would be out here. And we also have, then that's right in the middle, back to here, because that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up and back. So if I go, the general rule then is if I go up 3 strings, then the 3-note away minor third will usually be 6 frets forward, which also means that it's going to be 6 frets back, because if you look at these 3 points, you can see that it's an equilateral triangle. 6 frets forwards, 6 frets back. If I had the choice of going forward or back from my fingering, I would think go forward, because I might be able to reach this one given the fact that the frets are smaller, right? Unless I cross the fault line. So if I cross the fault line from here, for example, and go up 3 strings, then the 3-note away minor third, because this fault line shifted in essence the root forward, the 3-note away minor third will only be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets forward, which is basically just reachable. All right, let's go to the next one. Pull up, get this stuff back down. All right, so now we're on the top bit. So now we're going to go up 4 strings. Now note, if I go up 4 strings, I might say, why would I count it up this way? I could count down, because these 2 strings are the same. That would be easier to do. So if I'm trying to say, what would it be on this top string, and I'm on the B string, I might say, well, let me find it on the bottom string first, and it'll be the same on the top string. So how can I do that? Well, I'm going to say, well, now if I go below it, I just need to look for the 3-note away instead of the inverse 9 notes away. So I go -5 and then 4, 3. So if it's a G down here, it must be in the same spot at the top. Or I can count it up to the top in which case I have to look for the inverse distance. If it's a 3-note away minor third, in other words, 12 minus 3 is going to be 9. So it's going to be -5, -10, -15. 15 minus 12 is -3, plus another 5 is 8, and then 9. So I can count it out this way. So I'm going to say this is going to be -5, 10, 15. 15 minus 12 is 3, plus 5 is 8, and then 9. So we have this top to bottom from this G to E would be a 9-note away, which would be a major 6. If I go from bottom to top, it would be a 3-note away minor third. Therefore, if I go up 4 strings, then I will always cross the fault line, because you can't go up 4 strings and not cross the fault line, because if I started above the fault line here, there's not enough strings, right? So I would, unless I think about going around the top of the guitar, which you can do, but you have to take into account that these 2 strings are the same. Most of the time we don't think that way, right? Because why would we do that when we can think about going up or down within the guitar typically? But it's useful to think that way sometimes. But I'm just conceptually, because then you can understand what's happening more around the top of the guitar. But but in general, we're going to say you always cross the fault line. Therefore, it's always the case that if I go up 4 strings, then we're going to cross the fault line, and the 3-note away minor third will be 2 frets back. All right, if I go down below it, then we're going to go down here and say if I go below it, I'm looking. This is the shape that should be most familiar for a minor third. The major third would be right here. We're not crossing the fault line, even though we're on the bottom of the guitar. So now I don't need to look for the inverse distance of 12 minus 3 or 9. I just need to look for the 3-note away distance, because I'm looking below the note. So therefore, it's going to be a 5-note distance between the strings. I don't need a diagonal distance here, because the fault line is between these 2, not between these 2. So it's just going to be 5 and then 4, 3. So if I count it out here, it's going to be boom, 5, 4, 3. So top to bottom would be a 3-note away minor third, which means from bottom to top, by the way, of course, would be a 9-note away inverse, which would be a major 6. All right, so there is that.